What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Deep Dish Diaries. My name is Christopher J. I want to thank everybody who has watched my last two videos. I also want to thank my new subscribers for coming along this journey. I hope you all comment, like, and share my content. And if you're new here, I'm going to explain this is my personal vlog. And these vlogs they're therapeutic for me. And I also hope to share other people's stories that have gone through tough times. So from the title, you probably already know what it's about. I'm going to touch a little bit on my upbringing. If you're new here, I want to start and I want to talk about people that have influenced me in my life one way or another. So with that being said, I'm going to start and say that I grew up in a two-parent household until I was about 11 years old. And I'm not sure when my parents officially divorced. I just remembered my father out of the house. And I was about in the sixth grade. So I was raised by my mother and also my grandfather. My father was in and out of my life, but primarily my mother had raised me. So, and I'm not really sure why my father wasn't around more often, but I'm going to guess that the relationship with my mother had something to do with it. So, and I don't really know because I've never asked my father, but that is the person I'm going to start with. So I'm going to start off and say my memories with my father from the time I was about 6 years old were pretty great. My father took me everywhere with him. My best memories with him were watching him play basketball, and this was at an old gym on the Abilene Proving Ground base. I can't remember the name of the gym, but if you remember the name of the gym, please drop it in the comment section below. And but he would take me to the gym, and I remember this because I was the only kid there, so everybody else left their kids at home. My father would take me to movies. He bought me things all the time. He was he was like my my Superman, and I was his guy. So in my eyes back then, my father could do no wrong. I did notice things starting to change probably around 8 years old, and my parents fought all the time, and I was a kid, so I just tried to stay out of the way. But by that point, I wasn't spending as much time with my father, especially as I wanted to. I mean, he just changed. He was just a different person, and from that point on, he was tough on my siblings and I. But I would say, however, he was extremely tough on me. And in my house, I wasn't allowed to show weakness. If I cried, he would yell at me. He would chastise me, and even though I went through all that, I still love him. But because I am who I am today because of him, and of course my mother. But I don't blame my father because I believe he was brought up that way. So, and I'm not making excuses for him. I would just venture to say that his father was brought up also in a household where he wasn't allowed to show any weaknesses as well. So, and as a father, I was actually on my way as well with my kids the same way, to show no weaknesses. So, but I realized, I had to change the cycle, and I had to let my kids know that you can show emotion, you can be vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with a man crying. I mean, shit. I cry all the time. I probably in the last 2 years of this, I probably cried more in my life than anything. So, but I will say, the good things that I got from my father is that I got my discipline from my father. I got my drive. I got my intelligence. My father, if you don't know him, he's a highly educated man, and I mean this is a man that probably could be a doctor if he wanted to. I mean, he just picks up things so easy, and I put him up against anybody that to problem solve anybody. I mean, the man is just really smart, and I wish I could see him more, and I wish my kids could see him more too, or see him. And I love my father, and And now he's an old man. He's an old man, and for the first time in his life, I've seen him, in pictures and stuff. He's smiling a lot more. I mean, he just looks so happy, and he's living his best life. I mean, he's living his life to the best to the fullest, and so I want him to know, even though he might not think so. He played a big part in making me who I am, and I thank you for that. But um, as I mentioned before, I was brought up to show no weakness, but I also had a nurturing mother. My mother is probably the toughest woman I know. She's stubborn. She's funny, but she's been my rock. So, and my mother has also been through a lot. I will say she was tough on me as well, but she also knew when I needed to be loved, and she allowed me to express my emotions. I mean, she really did. So, but she protected all of us from a lot of things, and I really appreciate everything she has done for me. So, and I have so many memories of my mother as a child, just snapshots of my life. But some of the things that like come to my mind, like when I was about 8 or 9, my mom actually worked at McDonald's, and she was working 2 jobs, I believe, at the time. And this was around the time when we moved in with my grandfather, and this would be my grandfather Tan, and that's her father. And my mother, like I said, she worked at McDonald's, and I remember I used to try, as a kid, I used to try to wait up for her to come home, and I never could. But I'd fall asleep, and you're gonna find out soon why I tried to wait up for her. And I'd fall asleep, and I'd wake up to like fish sandwiches, cheeseburgers, hamburgers in the fridge. My mom would bring home like stuff that they didn't sell, like at the end of the night, home to us. And this was around the time, if you remember, us old school people, 70s babies. This was around the time when sandwiches were like in the little styrofoam containers. So, but my mom always came through. I remember this because mainly is because my sisters and I would fight over who would get what sandwich. So you had to get your butt up on time. I mean, up early to get the sandwich you wanted. So, but if you didn't know my mother, and you don't know her well, my mother was actually an artist. Um, and I used to watch her paint. I used to watch her draw, sketch, when she had the time. But there was 4 of us. And I just really just admired her. I admired her from afar. And I know she gave that up for us. And she has never said it. But I know she aspired to do that. I've always gone to her for advice. I mean, even to this day, and my kids and I have been very fortunate to have her in our lives. She was there for me when my wife passed away, and I remember sitting on her bed after Yvette passed away, and I was just in tears. I was inconsolable, and I'm sitting there on her bed, and I remember saying to my mom, like, I asked her, I said, like, I asked my mom, I said, what am I going to do now? I can't do this on my own. And I can't remember, like, I remember just looking at my mom, and she said that you're going to be all right. Like, you'll get through this. And, at that point, I didn't believe I could. I obviously didn't believe that, but I knew that she believed in me. And I mean, there was no hesitation, no cracking in her voice. I mean, she raised me, so she knew what I was capable of. And I'll never forget that moment. And wow. I mean, looking back now, like, I can say that I was prepared for this moment in my life. I mean, she prepared me, and I don't say it enough, but I love her. I mean, she's and I want her to know that she's done a lot for me. She's done a lot for me. I mean, she's been my rock. So, and like I said, I really appreciate her. She's just a great person. So, So I just wanted to let you guys know, and I'm gonna do a segment. I'm gonna do a show about just my mom. There's a lot that I want to talk about with her. So, but I'm gonna do something, just one whole show about her. So, but I want you, thanks for listening. Um, if you are new here, please subscribe. In a couple weeks, I'm gonna start sharing other people's stories. I've already gotten 2 stories by email, and I wanted to read them with you guys, but I cheated. So I cheated. I knew I was going to cheat. So, and these are compelling stories. They're both tearjerkers. I can't wait to share them. I can't wait to share them. So, if you have a story, please allow me to share it. And you can be anonymous. You don't have to give your name. Just send it to the email. The email you see on the screen here. It's deepdishdiary@gmail.com. And like I said, in about 3 weeks, I'm going to start sharing other people's stories. So, with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks again for listening. And like I said, I hope you guys have a great day.